So, all right, let's go to the final team. Let's go to the Raiders. The
Oh
Raiders.
boy.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say this about the Raiders. They're not the worst roster I've seen. They have some things that can work. It seems like they have a plan in place. I will say this, but this is not a team that is looking to win, go to the playoffs, compete, potentially win a playoff game. This is not a team that is ready for those type of aspirations. I believe this is a team that is gearing up for something in the future, but
Yeah.
they have a plan in place. Let's look down this roster real quick. Let's look at the depth chart real quick. So, as you can see, they drafted Dante Thornton, I believe, in the fourth or fifth round. It looks like he's projected to be starting. Jack Beck, he's another person they drafted in the second round. It looks like he's going to be backing up Trey Tucker. They have Jacoby Myers. They have Aston Genty, who they drafted with the sixth pick. They still have Brock Bowers, who's arguably the best tight end in football. They brought in Geno Smith, and then their offensive line, which is probably middle of the pack. It's not the worst in the world, but it's not the greatest in the world. And then defensively is where my concerns lies. They have Max Crosby, who's one of the best edge rushers. And then this is a bunch of Jags. Like Eric Stokes is starting as your corner. That's not good. Jeremy Chin, I mean, okay, I guess. And then you have Tyrese Wilson, who's still not starting, and you drafted him top 10. That's not good. And then you have other guys that are it's whatever. It's whatever. So yeah, that's
Devin
pretty much.
White was getting cooked in
I
practice.
heard,
In the clip I saw.
I heard Devin White as well. I forgot who it was. Was it Aston Genty or was it somebody
Yeah,
else?
it was Genty.
Yeah, Aston Genty. So, Brian, what is your thoughts on this Raiders roster? What do you think they're trying to do? How do you feel about this Raiders team?
The Raiders, to me, seem like a team that's more concerned about, like you said, the future. I think right now what they're trying to do with the hirings of Pete Carroll and then going out and getting trading for Geno Smith, I think they're just trying to do is this year they're going to set like a culture. They're going to create a standard of quality for the team organization and for the young players, because Antonio Pierce experiment, it just didn't work. It seemed like, he had something, but it just faltered pretty early last year. So what we're going to see from them is we're just laying the foundations of this is what it means to be, what it means to play under a winning coach, as well as getting veteran leadership from guys like Max Crosby, Geno Smith, and developing these young guys. So I think this is, and like I said, you mentioned this. I'm gonna let you get to that point, but that's your point. I'm not gonna say it. But yeah, it seems like a future of team built to compete, well, not compete, but get better in the future and start taking the right steps in towards being the contention, playoff contention year in and year out. So I'm not really expecting too much out of them. I'm looking at the wide receiver room. I'm not the hugest fan of Jacoby Myers being your number one guy. I do think he could be a decent 2, high end 3, but a number one dude, I'm just not feeling it. It is concerning that Tyree Wilson still isn't the bona fide starter for you on the edge, and you drafted him with the 8th pick, I believe. I know he's dealing with some injury, but the previous 2 seasons or so, but time is ticking, man. Time is ticking. Ashton Genty is going to be a baller. Brock Bowers is already like that. So, and Geno Smith, I feel like you can do something with that offensively. But like you said, the defensive side of the ball is where I have most of my concerns, because a lot of these dudes, while they did go out and get guys, they got a bunch of, like you said, Jags. So, yeah, I'm not expecting too much out of the team. Maybe they could win about 7 games or so.
Yeah, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, 7, 8 games seems fair for them. So they would easily come in last in my rankings for this division. But I do think they'll definitely they'll take steps in the right direction.
Yeah, Aladdin Roberts, he's a good linebacker for them, and then you obviously you have Max Crosby, but for the most part after that it's looking kind of ugly out there with the pieces on defense. So that offense is going to have to carry. They're going to have to carry. I know people in the comment section, what are you talking about? We drafted this guy. Listen, I'm looking at it right now.
We
And
drafted such and such from Eastern Mississippi. How do you not know him? Like, what? How?
drafted this guy in the 3rd round. He's a corner. You don't know about
He's the
Jerry
steal of the
Porter.
draft.
You
He's the
don't
steal
know
of the
ball.
draft. He's going to get 1,000 yards. Like, all right, buddy.
You don't know ball. Whatever. All right, whatever. Anywho, I believe the offense will be okay. Chip Kelly comes in. I believe this fits perfectly for Ashton Genty and this offense. Samir Wright, we'll see if he can progress because last year he didn't handle the running back one role all that well. He wasn't good as
He was
good.
horrible.
That's why they brought in Ashton Genty. So we'll see. We will see, but they're going to be 4th place in my opinion. And that's that. I do believe it's all about setting a culture, and eventually we're going to get to it where next year there's potential to have maybe 4 or 5 quarterbacks coming out of that draft that a lot of people are like, and they could maybe trade up in the draft and get one of these quarterbacks. They're probably going to have to trade up maybe multiple 1st-round picks. It ain't going to be maybe. It's going to be definitely going to have to trade up multiple 1st-round picks. They're probably going to get the 8th or 9th pick in the draft. Maybe trade up, maybe get a Lenore Sellers, maybe get a Garrett Nussmeier or the quarterback out of Penn State. One of those 3 guys. Maybe they're going to go after one of those 3 guys, and they bring them along into a culture that's already set in place for them to succeed. And then you have pieces like John Genty, you have Jacoby Myers, you have Brock Bowers, you have a relatively okay offensive line, and then you have Geno Smith as your quarterback that you can let the quarterback sit behind Geno Smith, develop for like a year, and then boom, there's the developmental process. And then you have a winning Super Bowl level coach in Pete Carroll that knows how to win, knows how to develop a culture. You have that in place as well. So it seems like everything is aligning for the potential of the Raiders to bring in a quarterback, develop them. It finally works, and they have a culture in place that will allow that quarterback to succeed. So I like what they're doing. I like that they have a plan in place because not a lot of organizations do this. The Cleveland Browns, you name it, where they just plug and play different quarterbacks and they think that it'll work. No, you have to set up a culture. You have to have the right leadership in place if you want it to work. And with the Raiders, as dysfunctional as they've been in the past, they brought in Tom Brady, they brought in Pete Carroll. Although Pete Carroll is pretty old for even NFL coaching years, he's a guy that understands culture, understands talent, understands how to develop players. And however long he is with the Raiders, he will set up a culture to where whoever is the next head coach, he can just pass the baton to, and the culture will still be set from there. So I like what the Raiders are doing. This is not a team that is expected to make the playoffs, to win very many games, but I do believe they're going to compete, and that will ultimately help with their future and who they draft at the QB position, because Geno Smith, we all know he's a bridge quarterback. He's a guy that's not going to be there for very long, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, but that's not going to last for more than maybe 2 or 3 years. So I like their plan. All right, let's rank all these teams real quick. Number 1 for me, I'm obviously going to go with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. They have a pretty decent roster. They've made the Super Bowl 3 straight years. They have 3 Super Bowls. I got to go with the Chiefs at number 1. The number 2, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert, with Jim Harbaugh. The fact that they're improving that offense, the fact that they still have a really good defense. I like what they're doing. Amarion Hampton. They have a really good roster. They finally giving Justin Herbert some pieces to work with. The number 3, I'm going to go with the Broncos, Bo Nix, Sean Payton. That defense looks absolutely amazing. I would be surprised if it's not a top 5 defense in the NFL this year. It looks like it's going to be an elite defense. They drafted Jahdae Barron. So they have some pieces, even on offense to a certain extent. I would like their offensive pieces to be a little bit better. Another really good wide receiver alongside Cortland Sutton would be nice. But they can make it work. They made it work last year, so I expect them to be okay. Their offensive line is pretty decent as well. They brought in RJ Harvey, like you mentioned, and they also brought in Evan Ingram, who's a pretty decent passing tight end. So that's what I have. And then 4, I have the Raiders. Obviously, I just don't think they have the requisite talent to compete on a level that will prevail them over the Broncos or the Chargers or the Chiefs. So that is my rankings. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go the same order. Chiefs number one, reigning Super Bowl participants. They made the last 3 Super Bowls. I feel like it would be malpractice to not put them as the number one. They haven't given us a reason to really not crown them as anything, because we all know the greatness of Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo as well. So I feel like it's clear cut they're going to be number one in the division. 2, I'm going Chargers as well. They have the quarterback advantage over the Broncos, but they still have, Jim Harbaugh is a great coach. He really overachieved his first year, in my opinion. And then they went and drafted some solid. They went and got run game help. They drafted Marlon Hampton in the first. They went as Najee Harris, even though he's recovering from a firework injury. That still helped regardless. I feel like they got better compared to last year in that department. Lad McConkey, who knows, he may get 1,200 yards this year, because he was hooping as a rookie. QJ unfortunately still can't catch, but I still like what they got on the defensive side of the ball, and Jim Harbaugh gonna have them guys ready to play hard week in and week out. Just need Justin Herbert to show up in January. 3, I'm going Broncos, because they another team I feel like overachieved last year, but the foundation is really solid, especially on the defense. And that defense, like you said, they should be a top 5 unit throughout the season. And on the offensive end, they getting Cortland Sutton back, re-signed, don't have to worry about no contract foolishness. And Bo Nix's second year, unlike another team, Bo Nix should develop a little more. Sean Payton knows what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball. Run game could be a little lackluster for what you want to do, but maybe RJ Harvey has a breakout type season like a Bucky Irvin or something. Who knows? So yeah, Broncos is 3, and for the 4th team would obviously be the Raiders. They just aren't there talent-wise yet, and it's a first year of a new system and scheme, and they're really just trying to establish that culture, like we said before. So yeah, that's how to go. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders.